Lerwick, in the icy waters of the North Shetlands. Ocean Warrior is about to sail. Captain Paul Watson directs the mission. For almost 30 years, this Canadian has protected marine animals. Peter Brown and Frank Trinkle, his two deputies, are also on board. The operation is certainly difficult and dangerous.
Well, the first thing, of course, is to try and keep the whales from coming in close to the Faroes, and if we can shepherd them away from the islands, that will prevent them from being killed. And if there's any attempt to kill the whales, then we will intervene to protect them. We're there to protect whales, and as far as I'm concerned, the continual slaughter of whales in the 21st century is barbaric, it's unnecessary, it's not even healthy for the Faroese people because of the mercury contamination in these whales, and it's about high time we put an end to this nonsense. And that's what it is. It's nonsense and it's unnecessary. It's the cruelest whale hunt in the world, it's the largest whale hunt in the world, and we're not going to rest until we stop this savagery once and for all. Well, I'll tell you what's provocative. You know, massacring whales, torturing whales, killing entire pods, slaughtering their families, having your children participate in the slaughter, that's pretty damn provocative.
Globicephalides are small, 6-meter-long whales with teeth. Every year, their migration brings them to the Faroes archipelago in search of their favorite food, squid. The locals round up the whale pods and push them onto the beaches to perpetuate an ancestral custom, the grind. This tradition began 400 years ago. This massive collective fishing expedition kills over 1,000 whales a year. The Faroes are still a Danish protectorate, and the inhabitants are some of the richest in Europe. Stopping the slaughter would have no economic impact at all. Additionally, poisoned by mercury, the whale meat is inedible. The Danish Health Ministry prohibits it for pregnant women and children, but no one in the Faroes wants to stop the festival or the massacre. In this ocean, to the north of the Atlantic, Paul Watson has a single purpose: to prevent the slaughter. Mission Phase 1, the ship sails for the Faroe Islands. The Ocean Warrior is one of Paul Watson's fleet of commando vessels. Liliolani, his daughter from his first marriage, is one of his most fervent fans.
747s, all those dials and everything. I figure they just put those in to make it look complex.
The Sea Shepherd Conservation Society was founded by Paul Watson to protect marine species. It has 40,000 members who finance his expeditions.
Can you explain to me why you have all these flags on the side of the boat?
Well, the flags represent the whaling vessels that have been sunk over the years by Sea Shepherd, beginning with the Sierra, which is the pirate whaler that we tracked down in 1979 and rammed. Then the Susan and the Teresa were seized by the South African government in response to our action, and then sunk as pirate whalers by the South African Navy. And then the next year, in 1980, we sank the ISPA 1 and ISPA 2 in Spain. That's half the Spanish whaling fleet for exceeding their quotas. And then in 1986, it was the two Icelandic whaling vessels here. That was half the Icelandic fleet. And then since 1992, these are the three Norwegian whalers that have been scuttled: the Senate, the Nabrena, and the Morald.
By sinking all these ships, what direct effect does it have?
Well, the first thing is that any whaling ship that is sunk is not going to kill any whales anymore, and so every whaling ship that's sunk is going to save whales. Plus, it raises the insurance costs of all of the vessels throughout all of the world's whaling fleets, and the premiums go so high that it makes whaling an unprofitable industry. They have to pay war insurance now on whaling vessels because of our activities.
It takes away the whales from them, and it also financially sets them back.
Yeah, and it also focuses international attention on the fact that whaling's happening and that we need to do something about it.
So, Dad, has anybody ever been hurt?
No, in all of our campaigns, we've never hurt anybody. Nobody's been killed or injured
because we take every precaution to ensure that we don't hurt anybody.
The Faroes are 15 hours outbound from the Shetlands. All the crew are volunteers. The 30 members know that their venture could be dangerous, and there are 25 more in reserve. Paul Watson's secret weapon, an army of German, American, English, Dutch and French journalists with their cameras and microphones at the ready.
You guys are filming everything I'm doing today.
Yeah.
For 2 years, Paul Watson has been backed in all his operations by his new partner, Alison. At 10 a.m., 5 miles off the Faroes, the vanguard of the Danish and Faroese peace forces are already there. Their objective? To prevent the captain from saving the cetacea. The tension escalates. All the troops are at their combat stations. False alarm, but a good way for the police to identify, film and photograph the boat from every angle. The International Whaling Commission banned whaling in 1985. Unfortunately, Japan, Iceland and Norway do not agree.
There he is. Oh, there we go. There's a lot of screaming going on back there. Probably scared him with all that yelling.
The crew is ecstatic. The cetacea are there as supporters. The fight begins.
The very fact that they can discriminate and know that they shouldn't attack us is a sign of intelligence. And I don't think they do it because they like us. They realize how powerful we are. They see our ships, they see what we are capable of, and I think they've chosen the path of coexistence and try to stay on the best side of us.
In the background, the towering cliffs of the Faroes.
I don't see anything.
Ocean warrior, would you please stop the ship? Stop the ship. So the police and custom can come on board and control it.
This is Ocean Warrior.
Ocean warrior, this is Silja. This is the police and custom want to control you. Would you please stop the ship?
We haven't entered Faroese waters.
Yes, you have entered the Faroese waters and we want to control you here. Yes, you have crossed the 3-mile limit.
Did you get a
Over.
Faroese geography lesson?
Can you see which police boat it is?
What's the name of that boat?
Sheila,
Sheila?
S-I-J-A.
That's a Sela or something. Celia. We will stop when we enter Faroese waters.
Okay, we will see.
So what we should do now is a trip around the islets.
Just to piss him off,
Now, well, we're a mile in it, but that's not a legal argument. Oh, they're drawing a line from their northern island to their southern island and trying to say that I'm inside the line. Dinah, who said to turn these on? Who said to turn these on?
Seeing the police force approaching, the quartermasters kicked in the ship's only defense system, the water cannons.
He does not want those on right now.
Angered by the drenching, the Faroes police try to storm the ship, but the captain stands by to repel boarders.
Get him off! You don't have my permission to come on board. We're not in your waters.
You were told.
Paul Watson is on the alert. During another campaign in 1994, a Norwegian warship rammed him.
Over the last 3 decades, we've taken a lot of risks. I've certainly put my life in jeopardy many times. I don't find anything unusual about that. We don't question people who put their life at risk or kill people even when they go to war. So I don't see why it would be unusual to risk your life to protect whales or any other species or even trees. It's not something that I really feel that I'm different for, because there are many people who are willing to die for what they believe in.
Well, it can be quite dangerous. Last time we were in the Faroe Islands in 1986, we were fired upon by the Faroese police while we were in the process of deterring the whales away. We were, in fact, beyond the 3-mile limit at the time, and it was an unprovoked attack and quite violent. So we find that the Faroese are quite prepared to use violence to protect their so-called traditions.
The whales have been seen near the coast. The ocean warrior will have to sail into the archipelago's territorial waters. Under maritime law, the captain has to submit to a police inspection. Frank Trinkle, Paul Watson's assistant, gives the green light to accept the boarding party.
The fact is that our only crime is being opposed to a cruel and unnecessary slaughter of whales.
By saying precisely that, you're saying that justice take precedence over law.
You know, if you were arrested freeing people from a concentration camp, does that make you a criminal just because you're breaking the laws of Germany?
Well, you're taking a totally different thing into perspective. We're not talking about
really?
concentrations.
Yeah, we're talking about slaughter. We're talking about illegal slaughter.
That's what you say.
No, that's what the law says.
That's what you say the law says. We are saying that we don't say that we don't think the law says that.
Entry of Paul Franklin Watson into the Faroe Islands is for the purpose of violating Faroese legislation by reason of civil crimes committed is undesirable.
The police order the captain to leave the Faroe Islands or spend the next 6 months in prison.
Okay. So just one message for the chief of police. When is the Faroe Islands going to comply with the international laws of conservation and start protecting whales instead of killing them?
Okay, you can ask him that yourself, probably through the radio or a telephone or some way.
Yeah. Well, you know, you really don't give us much choice. You're intent upon slaughtering these animals. We're intent upon saving them. You know, you can say God's on your side, but as far as I'm concerned, God's on the side of those who save lives, not those who take it.
The largest mammals on Earth, whales have always fascinated man. For many years, primitive people considered them as gods, but they've been the victims of hunters for several centuries. Today, the consequences of even restricted fishing are amplified by pollution from mercury and other heavy metals.
I'd always been very concerned about marine wildlife in general, and I had been raised all my life in a fishing village, and so I've always had a love for the ocean. That's why I ran away to sea when I was 16. But whales are a special type of creature. They're different than any other living thing on this planet. First of all, they're the most intelligent creatures on the planet, certainly one of the most complex. And we know nothing about them at all, yet all we are intent upon doing is killing them, and, you know, without even bothering to stop and think just what it is we're doing. We spend billions of dollars looking through the universe for intelligent life when we may have intelligent life here right on the Earth that we can communicate with, but we spend very little on that. I don't think we really want to face up to the fact that there might be intelligent life on this planet, because if we find that there is another intelligent life form, we might have to question
our motives when we come to extinguishing those life forms. And so it's something we just don't want to deal with. But I personally feel that whales and dolphins are the most intelligent creatures on the planet and are more intelligent than people.
Unconscious of the danger, these toothed whales are hungry for Faroe Island squid. Paul Watson sails deeper into the archipelago. Frank Trinkle, in charge of media relations, briefs the journalists on the dangers they're running.
And incidentally, from the Faroese today, from the media there, they said, well, you're terrorists. And we said, no, how can we be terrorists? They said, well, how many people do you have aboard? We said, well, we have 51 people aboard. They said, do you have any paying customers? We said, no, there are no paying customers. They said, do you have media aboard? I said, yes, about half the crew is media. Well, I have information for you all. You all are terrorists because according to the Faroese media, they said bringing media is a terrorist action. So welcome to the ranks of terrorists, I guess.
To ward off the vigorous attacks by the police force, Paul Watson has inexpendable munitions, seawater fired from powerful water cannons. The guns are difficult to control. Before going to war with the Faroese, the captain orders firing practice. End of the exercise. The ocean warrior steams for Tórshavn, the capital of these wild islands, as Paul calls them. Frank Trinkle decides to disembark to avoid a confrontation with the police and negotiate a diplomatic solution. He's accompanied by two Dutch actors who wanted to live the crusade firsthand. They are in a film which tells Paul Watson's story.
In the modern, media culture, we've replaced cannons with cameras. The camera, of course, being more powerful than any cannon ever was. When we go into a campaign, if we have journalists on board, that is a very powerful shield and certainly protects us. Instead of landing your soldiers on the beaches, you can land reporters on the beaches. In fact, I think that journalists probably scare the hell out of people much more than the soldiers would today. So I think it's much more threatening to the Faroe Islands to be landing reporters than soldiers.
The Eagle has landed, you know?
Eagle has landed.
Yeah, Sea Shepherd commandos are on the beach.
In Tórshavn, the local television and the police are waiting.
We were given statements the day before yesterday that we have committed, or that we're suspected of committing criminal activity. We never had an intention to commit any criminal activity in the Faroe Islands. As I said, I am here to find out what the charges are that are against me. I would like to see something in writing that says exactly what I've done that would bring criminal charges of any kind against me. Additionally, the Ocean Warrior is here to save whales and nothing more.
What do you think you can get out of this?
We don't provoke action. We do not look for any kind of violent action. In 23 years of operations, Sea Shepherd has never injured a single person in any campaign. So the accusation that we are out here to have violent action is absolutely specious and is not true. Now we're going to give ourselves up.
Moment. Wanted to go ashore. They couldn't get to it. So at this moment, I'm not going to participate.
Can't wait for.
No, you're detained for the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
The diplomatic solution is simple. Frank Trinkle and the two actors are arrested.
Please stop the whale kill. Ho ho.
Oh.
Well, according to all the Danish and Faroese newspapers, Sea Shepherd won this battle because we humiliated the Faroese and the Danes, walked into their territory, landed people on their shores when they told the Faroese people that would never happen.
3 men in prison. They're locked up for 3 days, a gift to the media. No whales were killed while Watson patrolled the Faroes. The scattered geography of the 18 islands in the archipelago prevented the commando from protecting all the cetacea.
Oh, God. They use that whole picture. Look at that.
It's disgusting. Show the picture front page again.
And 150 animals were almost ritually sacrificed. Not a good year for the Faroese, who only consider the festival successful if over 1,500 animals are slaughtered. For the captain, coverage in the international press does 2 things. It focuses world attention on the fight to protect cetacea, and it makes young people aware of the problem.
Lenny came when she was 11 years old. She came on the ship, and she wanted to come on this trip, and she wanted to bring her boyfriend too. So she's here purely voluntarily. I mean, she's 20 years old. I couldn't force her to come if I wanted to.
Little Greenholm to the north of Scotland. The island with the small green bonnet is a wildlife sanctuary acquired by Paul Watson's organization. The captain and Lani are here on a personal mission.
My mother died when I was 12, and I left home when I was 15. I'm the oldest of 6 children, so really didn't have much time with my parents now.
On the island, the seabirds and animals live in unthreatened freedom. The seals greet the arrival of their guardian angel. Paul Watson carries the ashes of his father, who died a few months before. They will rest here near the country of his ancestors.
I'm not out to win any popularity contests. I'm out to rock the boat, sink it sometimes. But I think that if you're achieving anything really worthwhile, then I guess that's the way you're going to be perceived. Heroic by some and a villain by others. But to be a conservationist, you really have to look in long stretches of time. What's this world going to be like 10,000 years from now? Because I'm representing all of those billions of people who have yet to be born over the next 10,000 years, whose heritage is being stolen from them by the generation living now. So quite frankly, I don't care what people living today think about what I'm doing. I'm more concerned about people living 1,000 years from now think about what we're doing.
So here's a picture with my grandma and my dad and my Aunt Sharon. So, and
when he joined the Merchant Marines?
Right?
Yeah.
He's got black hair there.
Yeah.
And now with the seal.
Oh. I just love that picture. So sweet. Yeah. Little squinty face.
Paul Watson was very young when he became interested in the fate of baby seals. He was imprisoned in Canada, his homeland, for trying to prevent seal hunting. His weapons were simple. In March 1979, he smeared the seal's fur with indelible, biological pink paint, making it totally unsaleable. But paint destroys the main function of white fur, camouflage. In 1994, Paul Watson had a better idea. He pulled out the seal's white fur during the molting season, a time at which the seals shed their fur in any case as it becomes cumbersome. After pulling it out, the beast's new look was enough to demotivate every poacher.
How did you guys meet?
We met at an animal rights conference in Washington, D.C. And, you know, I'd known about your dad for years, read about him, and he was a guest speaker there.
Okay.
And it was not too long after he'd gotten out of prison. So he walked through the door and walked straight up to the podium, and I was like, there's Paul Watson. And then I went up to him afterwards and introduced myself. And I said, Paul Watson, I'm Allison Lance, and I've always wanted to marry you. I couldn't believe I said that to him, but I did. And
That's straightforward.
Yeah.
Paul Watson and Bob Hunter have been friends for years. Together they founded Greenpeace and fought many fights.
This is a statue that we were given to us by a Tibetan monk and instructed to put on our ship. I didn't know why, but we did it anyway. And a couple years after I got it, I asked the Dalai Lama, what does it mean? And he said, well, it's Hayagriva. It means a compassionate aspect of Buddha's wrath. And I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, it means you never really want to hurt anybody, but sometimes when they can't see enlightenment, you scare the hell out of them until they do. So in fact, what the Dalai Lama understood was our approach. We don't want to hurt anybody, we want to save lives, and sometimes we have to scare the hell out of them to do it.
And also that means the Buddha wasn't really a wimp.
Absolutely.
Paul Watson has his own personal way of appealing to poachers' consciences. On the open sea, it's much too dangerous to sink the whalers and other fishing boats like tuna catchers. What Paul Watson does is to sabotage the motor which lays the drift nets. Trapped, the sailors do not believe what's happening. Filmed by the Sea Shepherd's cameras, the illegal fishermen have no legal recourse. As the boats can't fish, they have to put into port to repair the damage. In 1990, 91 and 92, Paul Watson destroyed hundreds of miles of drift nets set by fishing boats from Japan and Taiwan. Drift nets trap everything: tuna, sharks, dolphins, and even birds indiscriminately. These nets are called the curtains of death. But these methods make Paul Watson many enemies. He receives many death threats, and there's a contract out on his life.
To me, there's two different people. There's Captain Paul Watson, who I have a lot of respect for and who I look up to, and who I know that, you know, one day this world will look back and be like, oh, wow, he did a lot. And then there's my dad. And a lot of people, you know, they come up me and they start, you know, going off about how much they don't like him and what they do. And sometimes I just have to say, okay, I don't talk about your dad that way, you know, and he is my dad. And yeah, so it's very difficult because it's two completely different people for me. And as a father, he's definitely a great role model, actually pursuing a dream, which he's done, and which I think a lot of people in this world want to do. And so I look up to him as a role model as that. I hope I can do that when I'm his age. Yeah, he's just my dad.
Los Angeles port. The Cyrenian, the organization's second ship, is about to sail for the Galapagos Islands. Many personalities, including Pierce Brosnan, alias James Bond, the singer Cher, Mick Jagger, and David Carradine, star of the series Kung Fu, support Paul Watson's fight. A big-budget film based on the captain's life story is currently in production.
I'm hopeful that this movie will be a great inspiration to, especially to young people, because one of the messages that we've been trying to get through all these years is that individuals can make a difference. Anybody can make a difference. In fact, it's the only thing that ever makes a difference. But too many people feel powerless, that they can't really do anything, that the opposition is too strong. But if you look at it, you'll find that all over the world things are changing because of individuals. Because of Diane Fossey, the mountain gorillas of Rwanda have been protected. Because of Chico Mendes, attention was drawn to the rainforests of Brazil. Because of George Adamson, lions were protected in Africa, and on and on and on. So individuals are making a difference.
Linda Blair, who starred in The Exorcist, is an active fundraiser.
Money to boot! I'm making a donation from our own ship.
I caution people to not depend on governments or corporations, and certainly not to depend on big multinational ecological corporations, you know, like the World Wildlife Fund or Greenpeace, and that. They're businesses. They're in the feel-good business. They sell a product. Join us, feel good. You won't be part of the problem. You'll be part of the solution, because you'll have a nice little membership card, and that's what you're paying for. But they're actually not doing anything. It's all the little groups, the grassroots groups, the individuals. That's the backbone and the foundation of the conservation movement.
The volcanic Galapagos archipelago is a jewel in the Pacific Ocean. Nature in the raw. Uninhabited for a very long time, the islands were a paradise for wild animals and plants. Some of the species there are unique. Charles Darwin spent marvelous instructive days there. In 1835, he was the first to observe the way in which each species adapted to local conditions. The finch symbolizes his research as it inspired his famous theory of evolution. Some of the strangest animals in these islands are the marine iguanas. They live on seaweed and spit out the salt after they've been swimming. Here, Captain Watson fights for the authorities.
I'm hoping that by providing a patrol boat that'll assist with bringing the poachers under control, and also will motivate the government to take an interest in the fact that, you know, there's international organizations that are obviously involved and interested, and maybe they should look at this as something that is really worthwhile saving.
In 1979, UNESCO classified the Galapagos as part of humanity's World Heritage. Industrial fishing is prohibited, but the 35,000 square miles of ocean around the Galapagos are only protected by one small patrol craft. Life is easy for poachers. Paul Watson offered to help. The Cyrenian will be cruising there for 5 years. In Spanish, Galapagos means tortoise. Some of the biggest tortoises in the world live in this archipelago. Giant tortoises are among the oldest and rarest reptiles on Earth. If they're not killed for trade, they live for over 100 years.
Oh, he goes, that's all?
That's interesting. He just sort of like goes down and
Warm out.
In the 16th century, pirates took over these forsaken islands. They were mostly interested in the giant tortoises to fill their holds with fresh meat. Now another pirate is flying his flag here, this time to protect them.
To get called pirates, that doesn't bother me at all either, because if you go back to the 17th century, piracy was shut down by one man, Henry Morgan, who was a pirate. So if you want to stop piracy, you need a pirate to do it. You can't depend upon the establishment. They never do anything anyway. So we're good pirates in pursuit of bad pirates, and so we're quite happy to have that title. In fact, we even designed our own Jolly Roger to fit the picture. People who are utilizing drift nets, people who are slaughtering whales, people who are cutting down rainforests. These are the people who point their finger at us and call us terrorists. In other words, their definition of terrorism is anything that affects their profits or threatens their profits. So it's an economic terrorism. So in that respect, I don't mind being an economic terrorist.
Here, the crew get a warm welcome from the fishermen's children, unlike the Faroes.
Do you like species of Galapagos?
Oh yes, very much. That's why we're here.
¿A qué se interesaron en esto, lo que están haciendo?
The problems here are so difficult that there was a need for another patrol boat to assist the Guadalupe River. Almost all marine mammals are in danger, not only because of overfishing, but also because of pollution and destruction of biodiversity. The whole food chain's breaking down because people are taking too many fish, taking too many animals, cutting down too many forests, and so we could lose over half of all the species on the planet within the next 50 years. As a child, I was raised in the world's largest lobster fishing village, and today there are no more lobsters there, and that was the world's largest place, and it's no more, and this could happen here too.
In this archipelago, lobster fishermen are never satisfied with the authorized quotas. They live a running fight with the park wardens. Here, poaching is a way of life, but there are more serious problems.
It's now being severely impacted both by fishermen in the Galapagos and by foreign poachers. So I really look on the Galapagos as sort of the last frontier and the last stand. We've got to really hold the forces agreed right here.
Paul Watson doesn't sleep in peace. He knows that every night several tons of fish are caught illegally. Today, modern technology and industrial fishing pillage the seas without leaving the fish time to replenish them.
We have life forms on this planet that do not need to manipulate their environment, that do not need to have a technology, and these life forms live in perfect harmony with their natural environment. And to me, that's the real measure of intelligence, the ability to live in harmony within the ecosystem.
While waiting for the administrative papers authorizing the Cyrenian to go on official patrol, Paul Watson and Alison set off to explore the marine biodiversity.
Floating? Yeah. Like a big purple, like a big purple balloon, purple balloon, like this. I think it's squid eggs. What might be on there?
thought like tube net or something.
They're like squid eggs.
Oh.
I've spent most of my life doing what I want to do, and that's protecting not just whales, but protecting seals and birds and fish and wolves and elephants. I spent 6 months protecting elephants. We were tracking elephant poachers in 1978 in East Africa. So conservation, yes, I've given my life to that, but that's what I want to do. I don't look on it as work or sacrifice or anything. It's very enjoyable, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of it.
To catch the plunderers of the seas red-handed requires almost military coordination. The National Park spotter plane locates the poachers and radios their position to the patrol craft, which races to save the wildlife. The area is just too vast, and this time, despite everyone's best efforts, the poacher ship escapes. This place is famous for its sharks. Humans dread sharks. They are killed for their fins, a great delicacy in Asian cuisine. Jill is not on her first mission. She knows exactly where the sharks run. Alison is impatient to discover a place that unfortunately attracts poachers like a magnet.
If there's a hero for this planet, it would be Paul Watson, and I'm very proud to be with a man like that who has literally saved thousands of marine wildlife and will continue, his legacy will continue on well after he's gone. And I'm so honored to be a part of the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society.
We speak about sharks all the time. We have many projects that are involved with sharks, and we've been campaigning against shark finning for many years. I have tagged poachers off of Costa Rica who are hunting sharks. Sharks are also very incredibly useful creatures to the world's oceans, and the oceans would be very poor without the benefit of having them there. They serve a very important function. They're the scavengers. They keep the fish strong. The sharks are really basically to the fish what wolves are to the caribou or wolves are to moose. They're very rare creatures and probably in serious danger of being depleted by overfishing.
Captain Watson has two wonderful allies, instinct and intuition. Just a few weeks after the arrival of the Cyrenian, the Galapagos Islands were threatened by an oil slick. The tanker Jessica ran aground in aptly named Shipwreck Bay. 900,000 liters of fuel foul the sea. The Sea Shepherd's crew reacts immediately.
One of the projects that Sea Shepherd's in the process of setting up is called Project Sea Wings, and that's to raise the funding to get 2 Grumman Albatross airplanes fully equipped with the equipment to be on location so that we can rescue seabirds and mammals from oil spills. Oil spills are happening all the time. There's an oil spill every week and a major oil spill every couple of months. The problem is that the response time to rescue birds or animals from these oil spills is right now about 72 hours. And we'd like to shorten that to 24 anywhere in the world by being able to get there on site with the equipment that's needed. And so this is one of the projects that we're working on right now. It's very possible to predict the direction of an oil spill, but what Project Sea Wings would do is we're not there to clean up oil spills. What we're there is to clean the birds and the mammals, and with specially designed equipment that we would have loaded onto these airplanes, which you can actually run the birds through, almost like an automatic car wash, really, because you don't actually have to have hands-on contact with the birds, and that's very important. The less human contact with the bird, the better it is for the bird. There's less stress. So this is the kind of equipment that we want to get on site as quickly as possible.
In the meantime, Jill does her best and mobilizes the whole crew. Paul Watson has already left for another mission in the Atlantic, where in 1974 he drove his inflatable dinghy between a cachalot and a whaler. That day, and despite his presence, the harpooner fired and hit the whale.
And the whale screamed and fell back in the water, thrashing about, blood everywhere, and I caught his eye, and the whale saw me and dove again, and this time I saw a trail of bloody bubbles coming straight towards our Zodiac. And suddenly the whale came up and out of the water at an angle over and above us, the water, the blood pouring down onto us. And as I looked up past these 6-inch teeth into this eye the size of my fists, that's something that's really changed my life forever, because what I saw there was understanding, that the whale understood what we were trying to do.